It's time for Respect the Process, a short chat about commercial filmmaking. Here's your host, Director Jordan Brady.
Hey everybody, it's New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2025. It's just going to be me talking to you about my good friend Pat Finn today. Before I do, I'll tell you that we do have 5 spots left for boot camp, commercial directing boot camp, which is January 24th, only taking 10 filmmakers, Helen, and 5 spots have been gobbled up, and the price goes up a couple $100 tonight. So, filmmakers, if you want to level up your career, get better jobs, get better relationships, improve your reel, and learn about the magical 4th R that I talk about, repeat business, by golly, boot camp is for you. DM me if you have any questions. We can jump on the phone. Once you sign up, we do an onboarding call so I can custom tailor some of the material to cover what you want to take away from the workshop. Okay, what can I tell you? Pat Finn, I love this man. He has been my brother for 20 years. And if you've taken the online masterclass, Pat Finn and Valley Toyota spots are dissected all over the masterclass and the shadow class, even the behind the beard class that I know a lot of you have taken. That's Pat Finn. It's a working relationship that it's just a part of who I am as a director, spending 20 years on set and off with this man. Now, he passed away a couple weeks ago, just 2 weeks after we wrapped the 20-year anniversary of Pat TV. I don't know, if you listen to the podcast regularly, that means you probably see me on Instagram and you've seen the posts lately and some of the behind the scenes I've pulled out from over the years. So I just wanted to pay tribute to the man who was my friend and a collaborator and brother in comedy. So we met in 2005. The agency was Kramer Krasselt, which is now Lane Terralever, or LT they call it. And their client, Phoenix Valley Toyota dealers, wanted to do spots that look like national commercials. And instead of a spokesman or a spokeswoman, a spokesperson or creature, a lot of people have spokes creatures, Helen, they wanted a character. They wanted like commercials that were like little sitcoms. And by golly, they snagged Pat Finn. Now, he'd been a regular on Seinfeld, repeating characters, recurring characters. He was on Friends. Later on, during our campaign, he went on The Middle for several years. He's been in movies alongside Meryl Streep and Steve Martin, right? But, gosh, he loved doing these Valley Toyota commercials. And he told me once we were hanging, he said, anytime I would do a TV pilot, I would have in my contract that if the Valley Toyota shoot came up, that took precedent over a sitcom shoot, a press junket, anything they had to do, that this was a commitment that he just loved. So back in 2005, I pitched on the package of scripts. I think we did 10, maybe even 12 that first year. And Pat was already cast. I did not cast Pat Finn. The agency had worked with like celebrity talent casting to secure Pat for that first year. I don't know how many years he committed in the beginning, and I don't know if the agency could have sold it to the client for more than a year. But the first year, it was insane. From the minute I met the man, he's as nice as he is funny. And one of the first spots we did, he said, he was looking at a truck, and he says, I'm an outdoorsman. I like to hike and go in caves. And the saleswoman says, oh, spelunking. And he goes, Gesundheit. And she has this befuddled look on her face. But he played it straight, and the timing, the way he just came in on the heels of her saying, oh, spelunking, Gesundheit. And then he spun around on his heels to look at her and smile He really believed that. He played the absurdity of that situation. Like he treated it as real. And that first spot, I knew, like, oh my gosh, this guy is a comic genius. The spots took off. The dealers won their market share, and the next year had more spots to do. So it was never like, we're going to do this forever. Every year you wondered, you think we'll do more Toyota spots this year? And I learned that you don't really direct Pat Finn. You collaborate, you curate. I would often tell him, I'm just like those bumpers that you put up in the bowling lane for the little kids, because he's going to go all around and just keep being funny, and I'll keep him in the lane. But a lot of times you just sit back and watch the comedy show. And again, like I said, it was grounded in real life. So I remember one year, it was probably like 5 years in, he was walking by his son and a study date, an attractive young girl, and he was protective of his son from this study date, who was talking about her Yaris, and he thought she was referring to her bosom, but that was really this new Toyota. And I said, well, Pat, what if we give you a ship in a bottle? And that's all we did. I just handed him a ship in a bottle so he would have something to do on the way down the hall past his son's bedroom. I hope this is making sense. It's just making me smile thinking of these moments. So sure enough, he's got the ship in a bottle, and as his son glares at him, he takes the ship in a bottle and he's shaking. He goes, look at this. How do they get it in there? I got it on the web. And, the internet was kind of new back then. And it just cracked everybody up, and it stayed in the spot. So the agency, my friend Ian Barry, the chief creative officer, and Greg, and countless John back in the day. There's so many great copywriters and art directors and creative directors that have come through working on this campaign, have chimed in since Pat's passing. But they all learned to write the scripts shorter than usual so that we could just let Pat do his thing. Now, let me get technical on you. A 30-second dealer spot is really 19 seconds, and then 11 seconds of a lease offer and a logo at the end. So 19 seconds became basically there's just like less than a paragraph, a couple of lines of dialogue. And to the agency's credit, the jokes were very specific, but they always let there be room for Pat to play. I am so lucky to have had this partnership with the guy. People talk about De Niro and Scorsese making all these films, or Bale and Nolan with their work together. And I hope people say Finn and Brady when they talk about car commercials. There was another one that comes to mind, You're Beautiful, where his wife is backing up in the Camry. I think it's a Camry. And he runs over and says, hey, I just want to say you are so beautiful. I just love your curves, this and that. And Kristen Addy, who plays his wife, looks at him and says, are you talking to me or the Camry? And then Pat ad-libs, I feel like there's a right answer here. I'm trying to read you. And we just let the camera hang on him. And again, that stayed in the spot. And it's one of our favorite spots ever. There was one where early on, I think the second year, his son says, Dad, can I borrow the Tacoma? And Pat goes, my Tacoma. He goes, okay, well, fill out this simple questionnaire and need 2 references, not including your Uncle Billy. And so the kid's like, what? And he has to fill out a thing. And then Pat puts one of those pea cups on the desk, which was in the script. But the way he put it down and then gently just pushed it over to his son. And then after the perfect beat goes, never can be too sure. Can't be too sure. Oh, it was so funny. So like I said, you left room for him to do his thing. And he taught me a phrase that I think was the name of the podcast, Helen, back last year, play to the whistle. And that is, until I called cut, he would just keep riffing. I mean, he would just talk to an off-screen character. He would, there was one time he went camping with some buddies from work. By the way, we never know or defined what he did. He's camping, and he says, I'm quite the outdoorsman. And then when he hears a frog in the lake, he runs in the back of the RAV4 and puts the hatch down and crawls up to the passenger window and then rolls it down and says something like, "I think I heard a bear." And then on one take, I'm like, "Pat, you could say whatever you want." And he would just back up a step, roll the window up, then he would roll the window down as he went up, and he did, I think, 8 or 9 takes in a row. And the AD, the first AD, Billy Jones, looks over at me and goes, "Hey, you got to cut. We got to do more shots." And I swear to God, I had forgotten that we were filming. I was just watching this man continue to churn out funny bits. I could go on and on. I had lunch with Pat back in late October. He had told us over the summer he had been going through chemotherapy and battling cancer, and he was having some complications, and we wanted to talk about how we could just make it easier on the shoot. And we ended up shooting in December of this year, and I had lunch with him back in October, and we were going to talk about the scripts because the agency had sent us the scripts like a few weeks prior, the ones that had been chosen to shoot. And his lovely wife, Donna, got us some deli sandwiches, and there we are. I don't think we talked about the scripts for more than a minute. Like, yeah, that was funny. Oh, this is great. Hey, I might do this here. What if you did that there? The rest of the lunch for an hour and a half, we're talking about our kids. And he's telling me funny stories. And Caitlin, his daughter, has been in a handful of the commercials playing Pat's daughter. Jake and Ben have both been on set over the years, working, shooting behind the scenes, working in the camera department, PAing. This year, Gabby, my daughter, got to come and PA on set. And Pat's son, Ryan, and Cassidy have always visited with Donna. So we're talking about our kids. We've literally watched our kids grow up, go through college. It has been an amazing 20 years. And it's bittersweet, man. I got to tell you, we had some T-shirts and signs made because, we kind of all thought Pat was going to get better and there'd be year 21. But year 20 for a campaign, and I've had a lot of repeat campaigns go for 3 years, 5 years with Eggo waffles. Popeye's Chicken 20-some years ago I did for about 4 years. But 20 years is incredible. So we wanted to celebrate. We had some signs and T-shirts, and I had planned some, some big press and things like that. But with Pat's health, that became our main concern. But like I said, it took a turn for the worst, the ultimate worst, after we wrapped. And it's really hard for me to believe. And I just feel so lucky to have spent so many hours on set, riffing, coming up with jokes, watching him go wild, all within the parameters of the character he had defined from year one, and watching his inventiveness, his deft physical comedy, which not a lot of people talk about, but just I posted something the other day, the way he did this cowboy walk when we dressed him up with spurs and boots like a cowpoke. And I'll leave you with this. He was as nice as he was funny, and there's none funnier. But he was always giving. If he could think of a bit or a line for the other actors that were just there for a day, for the one spot, he would always give them the joke. He would always try and make them shine. And he would work with them and just, he was just a very selfless man. And the outpouring of love from the community has, it's been very touching and humbling. So, love you, buddy. I miss you. And, yeah. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a good new year. Trust me, I'm fucking tearing up right now. I do want to leave you with optimism for 2026. I'm lucky that I have tons of spots and behind-the-scenes clips and photos and everything, but those don't compare to the visceral memories, palpable memories, I guess is the way to say it, that I have that make me smile and make me laugh through these tears. So cherish your loved ones, make every day and every gig count, and by golly, have fun. Okay, love you, Pat.
Commercial Directing Film School's mission is to help filmmakers direct commercials professionally. With online courses and in-person boot camps, we demystify the process to get you to the next level, all taught by your accessible mentor, filmmaker Jordan Brady.
True Gentleman Industries. We make commercials.